I've never designed a prison. I can pretty much guarantee I never will.
I don't know about this bridge either. I'm pretty impressed consistently by the amount of research. There's no structural integrity or intelligence to how this is put together. You wouldn't have a brick pony wall and then stick a big timber on it because there's no anchor.
Every time we do this, there's some leap forward in the technology and they look more and more real. I think they're past the uncanny valley at this point. They look remarkably movie-like.
I wonder when they're going to tie the AI-generated faces.
Oh, I think they're already there.
I like the decayed tower.
There's a lot of towers in these games. What's the tower represent? What's the tower archetype mean to people?
That which has to be attained.
Right. Something to attain. It's a challenge. Power. It's surveillance. But it's decayed. I've explored more abandoned buildings than I should admit. It was a kind of pastime of mine when I was younger. Downtown Los Angeles, we used to do it a lot before it was kind of overrun with gentrification. We used to explore old Beaux-Arts theaters.
Oh, you got into the old theaters on Broadway?
But, I've also been a few other projects that around LA that could have landed me in jail for the night. I once snuck into Frank Lloyd Wright's Hollyhock House after hours. That was good.
It's a World Heritage Site now.
Right, I'd have UNESCO coming after me.
If you're going to have a vandal in an architectural gem, you want them to be an architect because you're not really stripping the place.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think it's pretty common for people who manage buildings like that. I've snuck into the Salk Institute by Louis Kahn a number of times, jumped over the fence, and there's some security guy, and he's like, "Are you supposed to be here?" And I'd be like, "Well, I'm just an architect exploring." He's like, "Yeah, that's what I figured. Just, lay low."
Yeah, we don't have abandoned towers so much like this around LA. This is pretty amazing. I'm trying to think of an architectural reference for this building. It looks like a prison, right? It's sort of got the rock outcropping, kind of like when a restaurant wants to look Italian. And they have the little patch of brick.
You're talking about Italian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this would be a belfry?
I suppose one of the things you can do when you're designing levels for games is you don't have to have the interior correspond with the exterior of the building.
Right. So this interior is what? A groin vault?
It's got a Gothic arch.
Because it's pointed.
But then that arch was round. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a defensive kind of building. It was designed to ward off as a kind of military defense system. But
Posición. ¿Están listos?
Now we're in a much more modern prison.
There's a lot less architectural detail to get, wrong when you showing a prison. It's sort of 20th century, 21st century prison. They're all often made out of concrete block, CMU, and they're leaving the plumbing infrastructure visible. I've never designed a prison. I can pretty much guarantee I never will. Yeah, have you ever been on the Alcatraz tour? It's a mixture of these 19th century buildings, maybe early 20th century buildings are really kind of primitive, but also there's some later additions to it. It's this kind of oppressive hodgepodge of masonry architecture. It seems like the designers of this may have looked at that.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, the mechanical equipment that's running through. I mean, I guess you get the idea that it could have been an old steam heating system back in the day.
They're in the boiler room.
Down in the basement. I think those are trash incinerators.
They could also be industrial laundry machines.
It's interesting to me how they detailed that column halfway up with a different finish, which is something we would do.
Is that Madagascar?
It's gorgeous.
Never been to East Africa.
I've been to Kenya. It's beautiful. The sort of ferrous dirt.
Yeah, red dirt. The trees are reminiscent of photographs I've seen of Madagascar.
No, the flat top ones. I'm pretty impressed consistently by the amount of research.
Is there an ethical imperative that the designers are faithful to history and reality?
Absolutely not. I think in the games, it's more about laws of physics. Being true to that is what creates the reality.
You know, why model that door if you're in a hurry?
Well, that door is pretty specific.
It is.
That's a cool door.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm getting ideas for us.
Yeah. I would like to see a preen restaurant in reference to a video game environment.
I don't know about this bridge either.
I mean, this almost looks like North African, the architecture, Arabic North African, let's see when we get a wider view of it.
This one has moderate structural damage as well. I mean, those big wood doors are I see in like Latin countries or India.
It's a cinematic touch.
Cool. It's gorgeous though. Wait, we're having a hard time getting through, but it doesn't actually look that small. That's very pretty.
Now we're into some kind of Beaux-Art.
Oh, sort of Pantheon, Rome.
So
this is AD.
Yeah.
So it's some sort of Roman revival, experiential and exploratory. Super cool. Well, the medieval period was all of the Roman revival, like Romanesque.
But that is not a medieval depiction of Christ. It's too humanistic. It's too real. This has got a wood floor.
And miraculously, the bed is all intact. It just happened to cave in there. And interesting method of construction with the stacked wood retaining. That's this sort of brick half wall, big timbers above, and then wood panel infill. No, that doesn't even work. Like, why would you have this huge big timber sitting on top of a brick pony wall? There's no structural integrity or intelligence to how this is put together. You wouldn't have a brick pony wall and then stick a big timber on it because there's no anchor.
Unless you were a farmer in the 17th century with, adobe and a few.
How is that timber attached to the brick? It's not. If I was a pirate, I would live, and I had like a land residence, I would live in a tree house.
Well, pirates were like people without nations. They borrowed from different architectural traditions. That's what you could.
Actually, do you know the pirate ship is the very first form of democracy?
That I do not know.
Oh, wow.
What's that story?
It was pretty interesting. Everyone had to vote on who they were going to plunder. There had to be a majority. Mm-hmm. The ship captain never made more than 2 or 3 times what all the mates made. I don't trust the structural integrity of this one. Interesting how the arch didn't break as it fell. The one thing that would fall apart. Ooh, the lights are cool.
That's not how I would imagine something like that would fall apart. It seemed to kind of remain intact a little bit too long.
Yeah, well, the arches wouldn't fall as singular pieces because they're made up of stones put together that are the structure. So they would fall as stones for sure.
Right.
The point of view and the change in point of view in the games is amazing. For more Experts React, check out Gamology's Facebook and YouTube pages. And for more of me, head to Preen Inc. on Instagram.
For more of me, head to Ball Noguez Studio on Instagram. See you next time, guys.